Are you truly living life or merely surviving? Whether you want more time, more love, more money, or whether you want it all, we want to help you get there. The best part? Everything you want lies on the other side of fear and self-doubt. It's time to take the leap with your host, Tiffany Toombs.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Take the Leap. I am your host, Tiffany Toombs, and today we are taking the leap into gratitude and really understanding what this whole gratitude practice, gratitude movement is really about, how you can do it right, because there's definitely ways that you can do it wrong. So how you can do it right and what happens in your life when you practice gratitude the right way. So over the last 5 years, the power of gratitude has really become a power player in the self-help personal development world. It is something that stationery companies, the hallmarks of the world, have taken advantage of in creating various gratitude journals to help you launch into the practice. And the practice very much works. I think people just need to understand the why behind it. Why am I doing this? So let's start with some numbers, a little bit of science for you. We have an average of 60,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of those thoughts are negative. From a evolutionary standpoint, we are wired with what is called a negative bias. And this negative bias was a good thing for the cavemen. They would walk out of their cave, hear a rustling in the bushes, assume that it was a saber-toothed tiger, and they would run back into their cave to be safe, or they would prepare to fight and kill that saber-toothed tiger so that they could survive. And the cavemen were really all about survival and passing on their bloodlines, procreation and reproduction, so that the human species could continue. And anytime you had a caveman who didn't have this negative bias, they would walk out of their cave, hear the rustling in the bushes, assume it was a squirrel. Eventually, they were going to get attacked and eaten by the saber-toothed tiger because they weren't prepared. And so this is where Darwinism, or the survival of the fittest, happens. This is where we see that happening through evolution, that human beings who had this negative bias, who assumed the worst of every situation, who were constantly scanning their environment for what could hurt them and what could kill them, they were the ones who were able to reproduce and to keep the human species going. The thing is that nowadays we don't have those same threats. We don't live out in the wilderness where bears or other things could attack us at any moment. We don't have saber-toothed tigers, except that our minds still perceive everyday, less life-threatening stresses to be the same as that saber-toothed tiger. So whether it's screaming kids or an angry boss, deadlines at work, friends and coworkers needing something from you, dinner needing to be cooked, email notifications, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, whatever other social media platforms you're on, all of those notifications, all of those to-do list items that you have to get through every day, those become the new saber-toothed tigers. And so they keep us trapped in this place of negative bias where our brains are constantly scanning the environment, ready to fight or flight at any moment in order to save our lives. This negative bias doesn't serve us in modern society, though, because we don't have those saber-toothed tigers. We don't have the same threats at our doorstep that we used to have. And so when we are in this constant state of scanning the environment for what could harm us or what could kill us, we're in this constant state of fight or flight just in case that rustling in the bushes is a saber-toothed tiger. What that leads to is current society, where we are the most over-medicated, the most overweight, the most addicted and in-debt society that has ever lived. it leads to a society where we're constantly seeking material things to make us feel good enough, to make us feel a sense of relief or release from that stress, where we're constantly seeking the next artificial high, whether that's from alcohol, drugs, sugar, sex, working out, whatever it is, seeking that artificial high to stop us from feeling this stressful, chaotic state. And so a gratitude practice serves to rewire that negative bias so that we can increase the number of positive thoughts that we have every day, so that we can decrease the amount and the concentration of stress hormones that we have being pumped through our body, so that we don't get to a place of being burnt out, of being exhausted, of being angry or emotionally deficient because we have stressed our endocrine system or our hormonal system out to the point where it no longer functions effectively and properly. So a gratitude practice serves to rewire the neural circuits of the brain so that we can experience more positive emotions, less stress, and live happier and healthier lives. The thing is, like everything in society, so many people are looking for the magic bullet. They're looking for that quick fix magic potion where they can do something one time and expect to experience a difference. We are working against thousands of years of human evolution in our brain wiring. And that's not to say that we can't rewire our brain. We absolutely can. It requires consistency and it requires you to do gratitude right. And I see people every day who are not fully using and embracing the gratitude practice. It becomes another item on their bucket list that they have to tick off. And so after 30 days, 90 days of sticking to a gratitude practice, they conclude that this is just another woo-woo BS nonsense thing to sell more journals or to get more people into coaching practices, and that it doesn't work when really they haven't been using it in the right way or to its fullest capacity. I like to use the example that a gratitude practice can either be done like a cappuccino or like a latte. When I first graduated from college, I worked at Starbucks for a solid 3 months. I could never get the ordering system right. I could never figure out all the drinks. The one thing I learned in my 3 months of working there was the difference between a cappuccino and a latte. And if you don't know, a cappuccino has a whole lot of foam at the top and a little bit of what people refer to as the good stuff or coffee at the bottom, whereas a latte has more of the good stuff and only a little bit of the foam. And any personal development or self-help technique follows my theory of the cappuccino and the latte, where you can do the fluff, which is the foam. You can do the fluff. You can post all the motivational posts and quotes that you want on social media. You can say all the right things. You can read all the right books. That doesn't mean that you're going to get more of the good stuff, though, if you don't implement it right. And so what I really want you to take away from this episode, my intention for this episode, is to teach you the importance of doing a gratitude practice right so that you can actually rewire your mind, so that you actually experience the difference that gratitude can make in your life, because it will rewire your brain and your body very, very quickly if it's done right. If you skip the fluff and you just focus on the good stuff. Now, the good stuff in self-help and personal development doesn't always mean the easy stuff. It means the stuff that will make the most change. So sometimes we have to look inside of ourselves and we have to ask ourselves the tough questions in order to get that good stuff at the end. So what I typically see going wrong in a gratitude practice is that people don't actually experience gratitude for the things that they're saying they're grateful for. And this seems a bit counterintuitive in that they're doing a gratitude practice. They're saying that they're grateful for something without actually feeling the emotion. Except we as a society have kind of programmed ourselves to be able to say the right things without actually feeling those emotions. I talk to people all the time and I say, "How are you doing?" And they're like, "I'm good. I'm happy." You can look at them and tell that they're not happy. You can just be in their presence and energetically feel that they're not happy. So just because we say that we're grateful for something doesn't mean we're actually experiencing that emotion. And it's the experiencing of the emotion that is what we need to rewire the brain. So having a gratitude practice on your to-do list is all well and good, except if you're not actually stopping to feel grateful at any point in time, then you're not really being grateful. You're not really engaging in a gratitude practice. The other thing that I see happening is that people have it on their to-do list as this thing that they have to tick off before the end of the day. And they'll get into bed and they'll realize, oh, I haven't done my gratitude practice. And then they get all stressed out. They have to get back up and they have to do this thing that's on their to-do list. And it becomes just another thing in a series of events that they have to tick off during the day without actually feeling grateful. And so if your gratitude practice is making you feel more stress about getting it done than it is gratitude, then it's just keeping you stuck in that negative pattern, in that negative bias that you're attempting to overcome by doing the gratitude practice. You would actually be better off to drop the gratitude practice from your to-do list so that you have more time to breathe and to relax than to be getting stressed out about the fact that you have to write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. So here's how I recommend getting the most out of the gratitude practice. And then we'll look at how experiencing gratitude actually reshapes the brain and the body. So there's 2 ways that you can do a gratitude practice. The first is to become present enough in your day-to-day that you feel gratitude in the moment that it's happening. Now, this is a slightly more advanced practice, so this may be what you transition your gratitude practice into after you start getting the hang of feeling grateful. So I was recently going for a walk, my morning walk, and I was listening to my podcast, and I walk pretty quickly. I get 3 miles or 5 kilometers in about a 45-minute time frame. And so I'm on my walk, and I'm sweating, and it's hot in the Dallas sun, and I'm looking for water and I'm listening to my podcast, and all of a sudden I walk onto this path where the flowers have just started blooming and I am surrounded by the fragrance of lilacs. And I realized I had a choice in that moment, that I could stop and just really be present in that moment and experience that moment, like literally stopping to smell the flowers. Or I could keep going and attempt to recreate that experience later at the end of the day when I did my gratitude practice. And so I stopped, I paused my audiobook, calmed my breathing, and I just closed my eyes and allowed my senses to be enveloped in the smell of the flowers, the sounds of the birds singing and the trees rustling, and just be there in that moment. And I experienced so much gratitude in that moment that it completely calmed me for the rest of the day. And that's what this more advanced type of gratitude practice is that you can take just a moment, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute, and just be in that moment, experience the gratitude as it's happening, because that is the most powerful form of the emotion, and to just allow that gratitude to flow through every cell in your body, to flow through your veins, and just to calm your mind. When we do that, what it does is it breaks up the stress cycle. It stops our body from pumping out any adrenaline or cortisol that it may have been pumping out, in my case, in relation to my workout, to keep me going and to keep me focused on my audiobook. And it just allows my adrenal glands, the glands that produce my stress hormones, to take a break for a moment. Just to have 30 seconds off of producing a hormone and to allow my body to be flooded with serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin instead, and to give me that natural high that so many people seek out with exercise or drugs or alcohol or whatever addiction it is that they have. And just to experience that naturally, to be there in the moment. The other way that you can embrace gratitude is to schedule some time at the end of every day to write down 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for from that day. Now, this is where people will just write down their 3 to 5 things as quickly as they can so they can get into bed or they can get back to watching their show or whatever it is that they need to do next on their to-do list. Instead, what I want you to do is to write down these 3 to 5 things, and as you're writing them down, close your eyes, take a moment to go back to that time, to recall that time and to experience that time now and the gratitude that you felt for that thing. So it would be me getting into bed in the evening and closing my eyes and remembering the smell of the lilacs and remembering the sounds of the birds singing and the rustling of the trees, and just to relive that experience. Because the thing is, our unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a past memory and the current moment. And so if I'm reliving that experience, my body will still produce the serotonin, the dopamine, the oxytocin to break up the stress cycle just before I'm going to bed, which means my body is going to bed in a more relaxed state, which will allow me to have a deeper sleep, more repair and rejuvenation as I'm sleeping, and allow me to have a more rested sleep and wake up feeling more rested so that I can go about my day again. And so it's important that we actually feel the gratitude that we have for the moments that we are experiencing or saying that we're grateful for. Now, I want to challenge you to take your gratitude practice, whether you have one already or you're about to start, to the next level by not allowing yourself to repeat anything that you're grateful for within a 7-day period. So what often happens is on the days when you are more challenged, on the days where you would deem it a bad day, the gratitude practice can become more challenging if you allow it to. And this is where people will tend to default to, I'm grateful that I have a roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have food in my stomach, that I have clothes on my back, that I have friends and family around me. And so on those days when you are tempted to default to those typical grateful things, which absolutely I'm sure you're grateful for, I want you to take a moment to think about why you're grateful for that. Why are you grateful for the fact that you have a roof over your head? And really take a moment to express gratitude for that and still feel the gratitude. And if you're in one of those periods where you're in a slump or you're having a bad week or even a bad month, don't allow yourself to repeat those things every single day without giving a different reason why. Because otherwise you're not really experiencing the gratitude and you're just going through the motions again. Now, on the days when everything is going wrong, I would also challenge you to find gratitude in those tough moments, recognizing that it's our challenges and our obstacles that we need to overcome that are ultimately our greatest teachers. And to look at what are those lessons that I need to learn in this moment so that I don't deem this to be a bad day. I don't deem this to be a bad week. Instead, I'm getting something from it. I haven't failed. I'm receiving feedback that will allow me to be better in the future. I had a mother ask me recently, my kids are so loud during the day. They just scream while they're playing and they laugh so loudly, and there's just so much chaos in my house. I don't know what to say that I'm grateful for. And I said, well, are your kids screaming because they're hurt or because they're having fun? And she was like, no, they're having fun. It's so loud. And so I said, be grateful that your kids love each other enough to play together, or be grateful enough that your kids are healthy, that they can be loud, or that you are in a situation where they can experience that joy instead of hardship. So there is gratitude in absolutely every moment. We just have to be willing to look for it. Now, the way that gratitude rewires our brain and our body is that from a biological standpoint, when we have a thought, that thought triggers the release of hormones in the body. Those hormones then lead to us feeling or experiencing an emotion. That emotion then leads to us experiencing more thoughts that are in alignment with that emotion, which creates the release of more hormones, which creates more of the feelings. And so we can get stuck in this loop, either good or bad, depending on the quality of the thoughts that we choose. So I started this podcast episode by saying that 80% of our 60,000 thoughts a day are negative, which means that for most of us, we start our day with a negative thought, or we end our day with a negative thought. And so let's say I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I didn't sleep well last night. That's going to create the release of hormones that make me feel more tired. That's what I'm telling my body I am. So those hormones will then make me feel and experience fatigue and being tired, which will lead to more thoughts of being tired, which then creates more hormones of being tired and emotions of being tired and fatigued. The same thing happens with stress. If I wake up and all I can think about is how much I have to do today and how I'm going to be in a rush and how I already have anxiety to start the day and I'm so stressed out and I'm overwhelmed, that creates the release of adrenaline and cortisol, my stress hormones in the body, which leads me to feel anxious, on edge, fight or flight symptoms, overwhelmed, and stressed out. That stress then leads me to think more of stress, of more things that I'm stressed about, or it causes me to forget the things that I need to do in order to feel less stressed out. It causes me to not prioritize my day, not manage my time, not choose the biggest tasks first, or it can put me into a state of procrastination just because I'm feeling so stressed out. That procrastination creates more stress, which leads to more stress hormones being released, which leads to more feelings of fight or flight and stress. And so I get stuck in this loop of stress or fatigue based on those thoughts that I start my day off with. Now, if I start or end my day or choose to experience gratitude at any point in the day, what that does is it interrupts that negative stress cycle. It releases the feel-good hormones, the oxytocin, the dopamine, the serotonin. It releases those feel-good hormones, which allows me to feel the emotion of gratitude. And if you have a gratitude practice now, you'll know that the more that you experience gratitude, the more you have to be grateful for, because you've changed the quality of your thoughts, which has changed the hormones that are being put out, which has changed the emotion. So that creates more thoughts of gratitude. It's easier to find things to be grateful for in the negative moments or in the struggle or in the challenge, the obstacles, when you are consistent with a gratitude practice than when you're first starting out, because your body and your brain is used to this cycle of experiencing gratitude. And the same is to be said for other elevated positive emotions like happiness, joy, laughter, love. As we start to experience those more, our body releases more of those hormones, which creates more of those thoughts. And so absolutely everything in our life starts in thought. So whether you're looking to take the leap into starting your business or into being a better parent, a better partner, a better friend, a better family member, whether you're taking the leap into your health and fitness, whatever area of your life it is that you want to take the leap into to be the best version of yourself, it starts with your thoughts. And you can really significantly and quickly change the quality of your life, the quality of your thoughts, the quality of the opportunities around you by embracing what we've talked about with gratitude today and implementing the tools that I've shown you so that you can experience gratitude on a more regular basis. What we focus on expands. We teach our unconscious mind what it is that we want through the thoughts that we focus on, through the things that we allow to stay in our life. And so when we focus on gratitude, when we allow opportunities and are grateful for those opportunities, when we're grateful for our lessons that come from challenges, then we experience more lessons, more opportunities, more things to be grateful for. If you stay stuck in that negative bias, you are just going to experience more things to be stressed out about, more drama, more things to be angry, fearful, frustrated about. So the choice is yours. Life is really just a series of choices, and when we start changing the choices that we make, our life changes and we can become the best version of ourselves a whole lot faster. That's it for this week's episode. Join me again next week as we take the leap into more tools and more lessons that will help you live your best life. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing week full of gratitude and abundance, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.